completing their school requirements.
Okay. Okay. And I was listening to you when you say track, right? You're saying tracking. So it all depends on what you're saying. To me, what I'm hearing is it all depends on their ability to learn and the information that they're taking in. It kind of pushes them into a certain lane and the school just takes it from there. Is that what you're trying to say?
So yeah, for sure. Right. I mean, your performance is going to track where you graduate. And if you are, a C kid, you're going to end up in general pop courses, whatever, right? You're going to have a general experience with school. What I specifically want to make sure people understand is Algebra 1 in high school. That tracking is not the same tracking that we're talking about in that in the scenario you just spoke of. That tracking is a cohort that you don't even understand and know that you are in. And I want to explain that. I'm going to create a scenario so you guys understand how this impacts a ninth grader tremendously. First things first, most states now, Algebra 1 is remedial in high school. And that's very important, right? It's important because when you're a seventh or an eighth grader, and by the way, it's not remedial in seventh or eighth, right? They want kids to learn at the level they're at. The goal is to get them through algebra in eighth grade. And I know why. It's not a bad reason, but the unintended consequences are terrible. So let's assume you're in a state where Algebra 1 is an eighth grade standard or requirement. And you might pass with a C minus. And then when you're doing course recs for your freshman year, your second semester of eighth grade, they'll ask you like, hey, do you want to take it again? And a lot of parents are like, yeah, they didn't do well enough and they only got to do 4 years of math. Let's go ahead and take it in ninth grade. When you enroll in that class, a couple things happen. I'm going to use a scenario. Let's say there's 100 kids. There's 100 kids. And of those 100 kids, 20 of those kids are going to do band. Of those 100 kids, 20 of them are accelerated, right? So they're taking algebra in eighth grade. They're going to be in geometry, right? Then let's say 10 of them are athletes. So 10 of those students are athletes. And I'll show you why that's important. And then that leaves 40 or 50 kids left. Well, when those kids go to the following school year, the eighth graders that are now ninth graders that were a part of your cohort as an eighth grader that are in geometry, they go a different direction. They are out of the equation. You don't have class with them, which means you're less likely to have English with them. You're less likely to have history with them. Well, you don't do social science with them. You're less likely to have it. Maybe a elective, but you're not in the same math class. Band kids. The band teacher only teaches band 2 sections. So if there's 4 math sections during the school day, those band kids have to both fit their band schedule and get their math requirement. So what do? They bundle them. They are a cohort because the scheduler wants to make sure he fits them in both 2 pots. So if 20 kids go from band and the class only have 28, there's only 8 seats left, right? So that crew is cohorted. They're out. You got the athletes. The athletes generally have athletic PE in the afternoon, right? So they are cohorted because they all have to fit into that window. So what happens is your ninth grade kid, who's a regular kid, right, ends up in Algebra 1 at a high school. There's only 4 sections. One of them is generally taken by the band community. Another one is taken up by the athlete community, right? Another section is geometry because you got the accelerated. There's 1 section left. So let's just say, I don't know what numbers I have left, but let's just say 20 going to that course. Well, that class is a remedial class in high school. So guess who else fills the rest of that class? All the kids who failed it the year before. So the environment in that class, right, is one where a ninth grader might be in a room with 10th and 11th and 12th graders who failed that class habitually, are truant to school, have disciplinary action, a bunch of outside variables that ninth grader, their parents have no idea are also going to be in that class with them. The teachers know. So when you're a teacher in the math department, guess what's the last class teachers want? They want that algebra. They want nothing to do with it. So you know what that algebra class turns into? A breeding ground for sink or swim. They hire new teachers. That's the section nobody wants. That's the section new teachers get. New teachers get a section full of kids who have failed or are remediated or are truant or don't like math, mixed with some freshmen, and those teachers burn out. Those teachers burn out. And listen, it got so bad. I was over the math department. We were hiring teachers who could barely speak English.
I'm gonna pause real quick. Let me pause real quick.